Yeah, I was thinking about beautiful things, and you know what? There's a beautiful thing that I used to work on, for many, many years. 35, 40 years. I can't remember exactly, but it was a long time. And that was a Kinetico water softener. So that's what it looks like from the top. I expect all those people that have got one of these. And we used to repair them, fix them for people, and we still do some of it, and we supply kits to fit inside the item, the same type of thing that Kinetico themselves do, but we do it independently. Their costs are astronomical, and in our opinion, but they do a good job, no doubt. But you can do it cheaper, and you can do it yourself. So I created a manual. I created a manual for it, and also videos and everything. So this is for people, all models, how to easily fit it. This is a rebuild repair guide. A rebuild. We supply kits for this. How to easily fix it, save 90% of problems. This was 84 pages. So we've got an updated version, which is 105 pages, and I'm going to give you that for free, so you can download it, so you can so you watch, the rest of the video. What I'm thinking about, I think what I might do on this occasion is I think I might give you a video. It's an earlier video, and it will show you how to fit the seals and fit the kit inside the machine, and you can see what type of seals that we recommend fitting to get your softener working again. So I think it's probably easier if you just read the book and watch the video, but I'm going to give you this download for free, and we'll take it from there. So the rebuild video follows what I'm speaking, how I'm talking now, so it will follow in a minute, so we'll take it from there. Okay, well we'll take the top part off, and in here is where you have your disc, which determines when your softener will regenerate. This moves with some pawls on some cogs, so we'll take this top piece off to start with. So if you just just loosen them first, do them opposite, just a small amount. Once you've done that, you can take a few of these out. Have a little tray handy if you can, just to be organised. You'll notice that this is going to be slightly spring loaded when it comes off, because in the centre there's a spring. So just hold it down while you're taking these ones off. You notice it's spring loaded, so it's under pressure slightly. So now just gently lift that off, and there you'll see the disc that moves to you can advance the regeneration with this disc. This actually does come out. There's a tiny little O-ring in there, so you can, if you wish, push that out. Inside there's a little O-ring, which if water weeps out there when you try to manually adjust it, then you know you need a new O-ring in there, so you can leave that one in there. Just push that back for now. Push that in here. On here is the actual retainer for the spring. That goes in there like that on top of that position there. Now this one didn't have the O-ring that's supposed to have been in here. There's an O-ring that goes inside there, and this one didn't have one, I noticed, but that's where that sits, so you can take that out. Now this is where it gets a little bit more technical. So if we want to dismantle this completely, we need to take this very small pawl off of here. This pawl is very small, and it goes on this tiny little spring here, so when you put it back on, do this later, but there's a little recess on the back that it actually goes back onto, so that goes it back into there, and you'll see that those cogs line up there with that disc, so we can take that one out. We can also take out this one. This is another one that connects onto there. You can see that goes in that very small hole there. When we've done that, we can take this number 7 disc out. The number on the disc represents the duration between regenerations, so you don't really need to worry about that unless you're going to be changing that. So that one comes out of there. Now we need to be careful again, because we have some more pawls here. This one goes on this side. Obviously need to remember which way round that goes. And there's another one this side. Now that one goes that way, and this little piece that sticks out here, that goes up on the top, so that goes above the this actual disc. When you've got that out, you need to inspect this. Now this is the disc that moves and gives you all your sequencing, so as long as that looks nice and clean, there's no gouges, check for gouges on there. That's all you need to do on that. Again, this is a ceramic disc. You need to check for gouges, grooves. It shouldn't be rough, but obviously that's that one. You can take the centre pin out of there. You can see it's worn slightly there, where you can see it's been in that gap, something's been spinning around it, but you can take that off as well. So there's the head. There's a gasket there. Inside there's a gasket, you can see that, and obviously that one is proud, so as long as they're proud, it's going to give you the surface contact, then you're fine with those. These are the 2 drives. Your metering system, water propellers in there turn these drives, which they actuate these poles, so you see that they're off center, so as they spin it moves these poles and moves the disc. It moves this disc. So that's the top part. So just for convenience, I'm going to just disconnect these 2 connections. Let's push those, take those out and unscrew them just for a minute, while we're going to go around and start taking the rest apart. So we can do that. So this looked all sort of reasonable in there. There isn't really, I couldn't see anything wrong with that there, so I would say that's reasonable on that first first step. So we'll stop there. Okay, we'll start checking a few more things now. This little split pin here holds, this goes on the bottom of this pin here, and it's a retainer for the these inlets, this inlet and the outlet. Obviously this is the inlet to water into the softener, this is the water out of the softener. Now for the sake of a few extra minutes, I think I'll just show you that these seals need to be good inside here, these O-rings, so that you don't get a water leakage when you connect your hoses. So we'll take this out and put that there. Take this plate off. So this is the plate that goes on, and sometimes they won't pull out easily, so I've just got a pair of gas pliers here just to give them a bit of a tweak and pull a little bit, just to make a little bit of a gap. These are very tight because seals are very good in there. Now we can just get that on there, just gently. Don't force, don't ever force anything. It will all come nice and simple, but don't force it. So you just need to just make sure that they're good. Now these ones are good because they're quite tight on there, so you can pull those out and you'll see in there's two O-rings. Now these ones are really good condition on this softener. They're quite proud. They're higher than the surface on there, higher than the surface, so you know they're good. So we can take those out. Obviously these seals need to be replaced. If they become flat, they are not tight going in, they can leak. Either one will go in either one, so they're not a problem. So what we'll do now is we'll have a go at breaking down this a little bit further and just go through the common faults that you can get with these softeners. This little tutorial isn't a definitive guide. You're never going to learn everything about these softeners. You know, you'd need to go on a Kinetico training course, which is a couple of days intensive training, but this is meant to solve some simple problems that often go wrong with these softeners. And as we're going through, I'll just point out some of the things that need to be checked, and some of the main items that you need to check. But we'll break this down in a second. So what we'll do is we'll take off what they call level 1. So we can lift this nice and gently. Let's lift it straight up here. Turn it over, and there you'll see the mechanisms in there, and you've got the flow controls. You can see these operate these two drives there, and these spin so as the water flows. So you need to check that all the gears are there. Just keep turning that, make sure the drive turns. If they don't turn properly, then you need to be looking at changing some of these gears and the cogs. So there's that there, and they got this one here, so we do the same here. If you look down, you can see the drive to see whether it's all moving. This one appears to be okay. Everything seems to be fine. So that's an area to look. Now, there's no easy way of checking all these apertures, but one of the best ways to do it is if you can wash them through. Just wash it in clear water, and you can look through. Lift this up to your eyes into the light, and you can actually look through and make sure all the apertures are clear. You can gingerly try some of these and make sure that they're clear. So some of these won't go through. You need to the ones that don't go through, just make sure they're clear. So on this particular level, this is what you need to be checking for. Again, the gasket around here should be in good condition, so make sure that you check that properly. So there you have level 1 and its controls. Okay, remember where this little tube is on level 2 and the position of it. So you just lift this one up and you can turn them over. Again, you can see a gasket which should be slightly proud, so obviously when it all goes back together it seals. This tube sticks out that much, that side, and that much. It shouldn't move, but just be very careful. Here you have a little filter that goes through here to the little venturi. There's a little venturi, little aperture in there. Now this needs to be, make sure that this should be clear. So this little filter here, you can blow through it, make sure that that is clear. So there's extra apertures again here. Make sure you hold this up to the light. You see holes that correspond. Make sure that you look at those. They correspond with both sides, but make sure they're nice and clear. So the thing to make sure you do here is make sure this little filter is clear and it's not blocked. That will pull out. You can pull that little rubber out, little rubber section out there. Put it right out of there, it will come out. And make sure that's clear. So that's one of the things to look for. So that's level 2. Next we have level 3. So we can take level 3 it's probably easier to take level 3, 4 and 5 off together. So you can take these 3 levels off in one lump, because they are interlocked with drain valves and etc. So these 2 here are drain valves, and these need to be wriggled free. So just gently wriggle, don't pull them too tight. So just keep a little bit of pressure on until they come out of their apertures. So this obviously is level 5. So we just put this one away for a minute and just look at this particular level. Now in this level, these drain valves need to be, the seals need to be good on these, and make sure they're clean both sides. So make sure that they're, you look at that, this needs to be clean and it needs to seat in there beautifully in that little hole there. You can get new seals for these, but if they look good and they seal, you can check those. You can see whether they sit down nice and neatly. And obviously there's O-rings on here, but because they were quite difficult to pull out and they seemed greased up reasonably well, I would suggest that they're probably okay too. So you have this bottom level, which is the level 5. So that one seems to be quite good. Make sure the holes are all clear and everything seems to be okay on that. So that's that one. On the base here, or the level that goes directly into the primary tank, you've got 2 other little drain valves. So we need to make sure that those are looking good. so they just sit in there in the little holes in there. So just make sure they're free and make sure they seem to be moving up and down, and that's all you need to do on that. What we're going to do now is we're just going to check these levels. Now you've got a little thing here called a control valve. So this one, make sure that the seals are good in there, and make sure that it also is good this other side. And then you've got your inlet valves and your outlet valves here. Which have got O-rings this side. These need to be in reasonable condition. Have a good look and make sure that they're not split or rolled or anything like that. These seem to be quite good. That needs to be looking good, so you need to make sure that's that's correct on that one. And there's an aperture there. Make sure this hole here, you can blow through it, make sure it's nice and clear in there, so that levels like that. That's fine. Now one of the biggest problems is this brine pickup connection. Blow down there, make sure that there's a hole in there, give it a good clean. There's a little O-ring on there, little O-ring there, so you can put that in. Just take him out, put him in, make sure he's in there fine. There's another little hole there, in there, goes through to the other side. Make sure that's nice and clean. So make sure that's all working. All these seals, there's holes in the bottom. Make sure all the holes that you can see are all clear. Blow it out with an airline if you have one, or wash it through clear water. That's all you need to do on that level. So, but this is important, this one. Make sure that this is nice and clear. Obviously just check down through there, make sure that's not blocked, and that one. And that's really it on that. Okay, so we need some silicone grease, some proper silicone grease, and we need to put grease around these seals, these inlet and outlets, especially that control valve there, so put that on there. What we do then, we've made sure this is nice and clean. We can then turn that over and put those on there. Obviously make sure you don't kink any of the, just push that in gently. And you're going to need to try and make sure this control valve goes in the proper way. So once you've got it in, again, make sure it's all nice and clean. So just go around these and make sure they're nice and clean. And then we've got this little rocker. You must remember to put this back on in this position there. So that sits on that. You can see that properly. That sits on there like that. This should now move up and down slightly. These will move up and down inside there. And then we can get this level. Again, we have what they call purge valves, which I've already showed you. These are purge valves. I think I called them drain valves earlier, but they're purge valves. So they need to be nice and sealed onto this plate. They're tapered, so they need to be sealed both sides. Again,
these rubber ends can be replaced. They just push on, and there's some little O-rings in there, so we need to put a little bit of silicone on those if we can get them, just a tiny little bit around each one. And make sure that's working. Now this goes on this way, so the easiest way of doing that is you remember this part here. This sits on there. There's also little notches, one there, one way around actually. Yeah, so we got the little notches there. So what we'll do is we'll connect this up again together. If you look at these the notches, you can do it either way. You can hold it. It's a bit fiddly, but basically these go in there. So that goes in. Make sure that you don't force anything. It's a bit fiddly, like I say. And you've got that back on. So you've now got those levels back together, and you now need to line those two up. Make sure these seals are all in position, and those two sit over those two pins. The check stems, and we can then gradually lower that back down on to there. So you've now got that on that level. So we're back to there again now. Okay, we're back to level 2 again, all cleaned. We check the apertures. You've got the filter on there, blown all the apertures out, made sure it's all looking good. So we can put that back. That goes down through that little hole there. Gently move it just a bit, and that's that next level. Okay, we've got this next level now. First level to go back on. We checked all that, checked all the apertures, made sure it's all hunky-dory, and we need to line that up again with the two dots, one there, one there. Once he drops on, you pretty much got that sorted. So we can now proceed to think about putting some of these screws back in. So now we put the head back on, tighten them, opposites, don't over tighten them, just enough to make sure that the seals are all compacted down, and then you're in business. So once you've done that, you're then looking at trying to reassemble the rest of the head. So we'll have a look at the head, and we'll see what we can do. Now we'll start with this stem there, and we'll put this pawl on here. Now this one slots on like that. As soon as you've got that one on, you can put the pin back through. and we can put this one on. This one goes up this way, and we just double check, make sure I'm not talking silly. That way, I should have said. There you go. So it goes on that way, so that one catches that cog at the bottom, and then the other one, the other side, catches that one. So we can push that down onto there. Sometimes it's a bit fiddly to get them right. Sometimes it's easier to put it on and then try and manoeuvre it. It depends. It's trial and error. Some ways are easier than others. Everyone has their own way of doing this, but it is a little bit fiddly. But that one goes in there. Make sure the spring is nice, so that should click. You should hear that click. And you put this one the other way. Just get this right. So basically this one goes down the bottom, that one goes that way. We can put this one on. After we put this on, then we just get the other disc. So now we've got this one, this cut out, the actual disc. We can put that one on. As you see, as it's spinning, it moves this pole out like that. So then we can put this one on. So this one goes in this little hole. So we can put that in there. So as you can see, we've got this one in, and you've got the little spring here. So this is important to remember, because we need this one on now. As you see, this teeth going to need to line up in there. So if you look at the back of there, a very, very, very tiny little slot which sits on that piece of spring. So we put that one on and clip that over. We now find that that is how that should be set up. Now we need to also put this seal back in. So we put a little bit of silicone in there. In this gap. A little bit more on there. Make sure that's in there properly. We can then put this spring and the actuator on there. Then we can put this on here. Push that on. Again, this is under pressure, so we need to just fix that in position. And we need to make sure that this is working. Just make sure, just to set the seal, just push this down a couple of times just to set the seal in. in place. So we'll go and put the rest of the screws in for the head. We just screw these back again. Don't over tighten them. Pinch them up opposite, proper engineering way. Don't use power tools doing this, because it's bad practice, and you'll strip threads, and you've got no feel for the thing if you do it like that. So just go around. Once you've done that, make sure they're all equally pinched. There you go. Okay. Bit of silicone. Redo these. Put some silicone around these. Give them a bit of a spin as you're putting them in. There you go. Give them a bit of a spin. Incidentally, when you connect your water softener up, you should connect these onto your hoses first and then push them in to the softener. Small thing, but people try and tighten them up and they spin inside the thing and they don't get them tight enough. In fact, this particular softener, somebody used compound. Never use compound. Anything like that, you don't need to. And always remember, when you put your hoses on, always make sure to have filter washers on the seals. So you can push that down in there. Now, little split pin, put it through the top bottom. That stops that from falling apart. So there you have the strip down of this particular item. You need to go into much more detail if you were obviously working on these all the time, but what we've done here is we've basically just gone through, you know, cleaning, re-siliconing, just checking the seals and how it operates, making sure the meter, all these pores are working, the cogs, showing you where the small apertures are inside the appliance, just to make sure that those basics are covered. And really, that's really what this is all about. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that helps you with your softener.
Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to just go through some extra detail with some of these levels. We've done a basic sort of strip down and put back together, but we need to now go into much greater detail, I think, just to show you how to overall some of these levels in greater depth, you know, because the major problems that can develop with these softeners is mainly the internal seals, and we can look at them in the internal seals in great detail now, and and we can take it further as we can go through and just show you how to get these seals on and get them finished. So we're going to just go through each level as we're going, and obviously this is level 1. This is the top level, and we've already been through this particular detail here. We've gone through all the different actions. We've gone through these little drives, these little wheels. We've gone through this seal here. We need to make sure that it is proud. Again, you can turn it on its side and you can see it slightly protruding above the actual housing. So obviously that needs to be addressed. If you notice, this one has its the actual nozzle, the flow nozzle missing on this one, which we would need to put back when we put it back together. But so that's just showing you this, and just showing you the importance of these two seals. This top seal needs to be perfect and intact, so we've got that one as well. So those are the seals on that one. Obviously these seals here are going to go onto your main inlet and outlets, which we've already talked about. But we'll put that one to one side for a moment, and we'll look at the next lot of seals. And you've got the next level, which all go together, which is level 2, level 3, and level 4 and level 5. And these levels need to be looked at in greater detail, because the seals, a lot of the seals in these levels are very, very important. So we'll go through these levels. Now this particular level, got this one there. It doesn't really matter which level, what you call them, really, to be perfectly honest. They all go together in a certain way, but the seals are the main thing I want to show you. So we've got this level, which we've seen before on the other video. We've got this level with the actual inlet and outlet valves, where they work there. You've got the little valve there. So we're gonna look at this one. This is this needs to be put back in at some point. But we've got this level there. We've got this level. Again, we've got the seals there showing, and we've got the receivers of the inlet and outlet valves, and the drain valves, and the control valve that goes in there. So we've got that level, and we got this little level here. There's a gasket missing on that at the moment, but anyway, this is the other level that we need to. When this gasket's in, we needed a replacement on this particular softener, but that seal goes in there. We need to make sure everything's perfect condition. Everything's perfect. So every tiny little bit of debris and mark needs to be taken off. Again, this little valve here with a filter on, this little aperture, we need to make sure we've got water flow through there. So make sure these holes and these channels are all looking good. You mustn't score anything unnecessarily. And that's the other level. And obviously the base level is the one that's connected to the actual bottles themselves, and the main valve is connected to bottle 1, and then the other one is the remote bottle. So so that's that, describing those levels again, and we'll go into each level in a minute in detail. Okay, so we've got this next level. This is the 5th level that goes like this base. This goes on to the bottom of the 6th level. So that base goes actually onto the actual softener base, where the bottles are. So this is level 5, and that sits on the top of level 6. But you've got now the 2 drain valves, which look like this, without the small cones on. So what we're going to do is, I've already done one seal there, that particular one. So we're going to put another seal on there. So we get another seal. like I said to you already, these seals are very difficult to get on. So you need to try and get that on there without it twisting. That one seemed to go on there straight away. So again, we can get this, as with the control valve, we can now just try these inside these. So that's a lovely fit, so that you can feel that compression as you're pushing that through there. Some apertures through there, you can just see it, feel that nice and sweet. You can feel that it's quite tight. So that's just how you want it. You just know that those seals are actually sealing perfectly well. So that's what you need to do in there. So we get those in a second. So what we do then, we'll put these seals back. So again, a little bit of silicone, and what we do is we'll put a little bit on here this time, just to make it simple for us. We don't want any struggling to do. We just want it nice and sweet, like this. I'm being fussy. A lot of the people that service these, they don't mess about. Whack it on as quick as possible. If they break it, if they're working for Kinetico, if they break it, they just go and get another one out the van. So this is the upshot. We can't do that. So we push that on. Make sure that the little lip that holds it is there. And as you can see, this is what happens when you don't think and you make mistakes. So because I've just put that on upside down, so we've got to try and now take that off, even though that's tight now, that's going to be tight. I put that on upside down, and I've now got to take it off and put it back on the correct way, like that. And have a think about what I'm doing a little bit more, because that sits down in there and it seats into there. Like I said, you don't need to worry about those seats. They're normally perfect, and usually they don't need changing, hardly ever. So there's a mistake, but easily rectified. Put the other one on. Push him on. Push him down a little bit more. Push him down so that he goes beyond the lip. So he's down behind that lip. So just give him a bit of a spin, make sure they're okay. And there you have. There's the drain valves. So they're all done. So there you have it. That's that level. Okay, firstly what we'll try and do is we'll try and take this control valve seal from this housing. So the control valve seal is this one. It's the little short one going through there. And what we need to do is take if we can, take the little conical seal off there. Gently pull him off if you can, but be very careful you don't snap the plastic off. So there's the little seal on there. You can see that. So put that to one side, and then we can take the item out. So this little piece is spring loaded. So what we need to think about now is taking this seal off. Now these seals are very difficult to get off and on, and they're quite tricky, so you need to try and be very careful. If you use anything in the show, you've got to try and do it without chopping anything. Just try and get it like this. So as I say, it's very, very fiddly, and you've got to be careful you don't damage things, because it will get damaged if you're not careful. So you need something sharp to get under there, and you need to just pull it off like that. Now in there you need to make sure then that's all clean, ready for the new seal. So you need to get a new seal, and we've got a few seals there, so we need to get those seals, and we need to think about putting one of those on. So we've got a new seal, and we'll have a go at putting it on. So now this is again very fiddly, and you need to just try and, it's a case of trial and error, so try not to use any tools. You can, but they often do not go on first time. They very often twist, and to untwist them is very tricky. Now that one I've managed to get straight on, so that's the seal for that. Now if you look at it cross-sectional area, or that way, I don't know which is the easiest way for you, possibly that way or at an angle, you can see that when you put your flat edge on there, see if you can see that better that way, put a flat edge on there and you can see that the two edges are prouder than the plastic, so these need to be proud. So that's the key to that. So once you've done that, you can then get your number 3 housing, and it does go in that aperture there, and you can actually just push that into that housing. It's a bit fiddly, and you can just feel that nice fit as it goes in. It's a bit dry, this one, you're going to need to put it back together, a little bit of silicone, but it's just to test it, just to make sure that that seals quite nice, and that actually does seal lovely inside that aperture there. So that's that. So we're happy with that little seal put on there. What we'll do next is we'll put this control valve, which we've put the new quad ring on there. So we put that back through that little hole there. Oh, yep, he's gone. Put him through there, and we'll get a little bit of silicone grease. Have the silicone grease in there, just a small bit, and we'll put a tiny little bit on there. And what that will do is when we put our cone back on, just rub them a little bit round, so you've got a little bit of silicone around there, and hopefully hold the back and very gently and gingerly push that seal back on. Now he's very, very fiddly, so you need to gingerly do it. Gingerly, there he goes. Just gingerly put that back on. And when he's on, make sure this seal is behind the lip of this little plastic stem. So you put it behind there, just put it behind. Make sure he's behind, and that's fine. And then you've got him working right. Okay, so that's that one. Now, I'm not going to do every one of these seals because it's a bit pointless, but I'll just show you the way to get these inlet and outlet valves apart and to get to the seals. You can, like I said, these particular seals, this side, these seals, very small rubber seals there, flat. You can see them. If I push that, you can probably just about see it move, but look, they're flat and they don't really seem to perish or anything. They seem to work well, those seals, all the time. They don't seem to be seals that seem to be faulty. So it's, as I say, it's this one, and it's the 4 here, and there's 4 internal ones. I'll just show you those ones. But what we need to do on this level is we need to hold this bit of body here, and we need to put an Allen key, this one, 6-sided, in that slot. And if you can't hold them, you need to try and put that in a small clamp. This little piece here, a small clamp. So we can undo those. So we take all these rings off. Take all these rings off, and we'll pull them out. I've loosened them, all of them, so I'll take all of them out. Take all of them out. Now, Now we've got this bare plate here, like this. Now, inside here, there are more seals. A few more seals. And those seals need to be changed. Now, these seals you can hook out. As you see, they're very similar size to the rest of the seals, so you can take one out, two, three, four. So we've now got 4 seals, these 4 seals that need to be replaced. Now that is to stop water travelling through the valve stem. So obviously you've got the 2 seals either side of the cell. This is all sealed, and it all needs to be under pressure to operate the inlet and outlet valves to stop. So the water needs to be stopped going down through there. So we've now got those seals. We've got a few seals now that we've taken out. So what we do is we'll have a look at putting those back in a second. What we're going to do, I put 1 seal in already, and I'm going to attempt to make this look as easy as it possibly can be, but I know it won't be, because if it's going to go wrong when you're filming it, it will go wrong. So we'll try and put this one in. So you try and put the edge in. These are quite difficult to put in because you haven't got much room to get that seal in. So you need, once you start it, you need to start it. So it's something that needs to be started there, and then you've got to try and ease him in so that he goes in with some sort of order, because these are quite easy to twist. Now once that's in, you then need to look properly at the 2 lips. You should see the 2 lips flat. So that's what you need to do with that. So I'm not going to show you how to, every one of these, because it's pointless. You're going to just have to look at it properly and make sure you manage to get your rings in there. So with that, that's what you need to do. So we've now replaced all those internal seals, 4 of those, and that little job's done. So we can just put that aside for one moment, and we need to look at some of these other seals here. These 4. Now, so we need to take them off again, very carefully. Remove the seals. Make sure you leave these nice and clean, so we can take these seals out of there. Again, a bit fiddly. Make sure they're nice and clean. So those seals are going to need to be changed. So we've got a few seals here, so we get the 4 new seals. And we try and change those the same as the others, so we just make sure that we hook that in there, to put it in, make sure it starts off right, This is the key. Start it off right, and as you go around, make sure that you keep that flat. It's not very easy still, because what they tend to want to do on these particular seals, they want to twist. So you've got to try and keep it flat, and as it's not that easy to do, but you'll find with a bit of practice you'll get it done. So that's that seal in position, so that's a brand new seal on there. So that's how to do that one. So there we have the model that we are going to be working on. It's partly stripped down, this particular one, but it is that's the housing, that's the box for it, that's the housing, and it is the Kinetico 2020C. This particular one is a high flow. Just to show you how this all comes apart, that's the lid. Gives you some warning labels in there to use the right type of salt. This lid comes off, so this is the lid that comes off. Put that to one side. Inside there you have the divider, which is dividing your blocks away from your, that's your divider, and inside there you have the assembly for your float. So we can take this out, and that's the assembly for the float. Now there's going back 20 or 30 years, these softeners basically all operate in the same way. So whichever type you've got, whether you've got the big old fat box, the actual compact as they used to call it, I believe, and then they made it slightly slimmer with the white casing, and then they went to this one. This is, I think, one of the more modern ones. I think there is a new update, but they're all basically the same. They do the same job, and the actual heads and the assembly and all the mechanisms are, is a good design. It's been going for a long time, so you should find that all these designs, all the designs are the same. So slight variations, but that's the model we're working on. Okay, we need to just double check this level. This is level 2. And we make sure this level 2 is nice and clean. We look at this this little piece of tube here. It should look like that when it's in position. If you can look at it sideways on, you can see the sort of distance that it's at. Again, check everything on there. The seal's missing on this particular one, but as I say, we've got a seal for this, so we'll put this in later, but there's nothing else to think of apart from this one here. Need to check to make sure the aperture, so there's a very small hole through there, that filter. I don't know whether that's showing that up on there, but that's level 2, so we can move that one over to out the way to another position for a moment. Here we have level 3. You've got your connections there. You've got your seal here. You've got a little venturi here. You make sure that the this hole in here is clear. So you've got you should be able to see something through there. And you've got another one here, which is here. That one needs to be clear. And we need to make sure the gasket is fine and turn it over. Nothing much to see there. Make sure it's all smooth and everything's fine with that. So that's the level 3. So you can put that one to one side. So level 4 is this one, and this is a very important level in terms of seals, and we're going to go into detail with these seals and show you the ones that you need to replace if your softener's not really working properly, you can, as I say, you need to check the seals. This particular softener, the seals I believe need changing because they're slightly loose, and we can have a look at those. So this is level 4. So the seals in question are these inlet and outlet valves. There's the seals on the outside here, and where they go through the holes, this is quite loose. Where they sliding in and out, there's another seal inside this housing here. So inside this housing there's a seal, and these are quite difficult to change and quite fiddly. There are seals on this side, and they're flat seals. They are just in there, but these seals hardly ever need replacing, so we don't normally change those seals if they look in good condition. Even some of these seals here look in reasonable condition, and they might possibly be okay. Often we change these just to make sure. Kinetico themselves don't really supply seals as such anymore, as far as I'm aware, and you know, they sort of prefer you to buy whole blocks, whole levels at quite a high cost. But fortunately we're able to supply people with the essential seal kit that can replace all the seals. So you know, that's something to consider. Now we have 2 drain and purge valves here, which come through on the other item. Level, let me just get this right. Yeah, level 5, which is this one. They're connected on level 5. So we've got level 5, you've got these purge and drain seals. We've got the drain seals there, and then we've got the purge seal. There's a little seal on the outside. Now these particular seals, little cone seals on there, providing that we've got, because they're tapered, they don't have too much of a problem in sealing on this side. So the ones that really matter, so we don't need to change these necessarily, even if there's a slight ridge, because they will sit down as it's a taper, so they will taper and shut. These ones, however, which go into level 3 in this part, don't know whether you can see that there, but if I show you, they go in and out of there into that housing. They go into that aperture there. These seals that go on here, this actual one's been taken off. They need to be perfect. So so those seals, you know, need to be sorted out. So we just put that one back, and that level 5, but that's level 5. One of these drain valves have been taken off, but we'll put that back on. We just go through this level 4, I think, yeah, level 4, and have a look at that. So we got this seal here, which is a control valve seal, and obviously we got the conical seal there on the other side, but again, don't need changing because they're going through a taper, as you can see. You know, even if it's slightly indent, you've got an indentation, because it's fitted quite tight, it will always find its seal. So as I say, it's this one, this side, that we need to consider. Now these particular seals are what we call quad seals or X seals. If we cut take the cross-sectional area of that, what you'll notice is, if you look at that way, might be easier to see it on a larger, you'll see that there's 2 ridges, and not just an O-ring. It has 2 lips, so it has a groove in the middle and a lip either side that way, and it has a groove in the middle and a lip either side that way. So if you imagine you cut that across and look at it cross-sectional area, it would look like a cross, and slightly thick cross. Now the reason for that is, once that's in position, you're relying on 2 seals, so it seals there and there, there and there, and so your first line of defence is the first seal, and then you get backed up by the second seal. On an O-ring, if you can appreciate an O-ring, you've only got one edge, and that's the top edge. So with these quad seals, you've got two sealing points, which means that you can have a slightly smaller O-ring, a slightly smaller sealing ring, and it will work with a slightly less compression inside the aperture, because you've got the two seals. So you've got the first one and then you've got the second one. So the first one takes most of the pressure, then the second one backs it up. So, and you've got the small ones as well. So these seals need to be replaced, and small amount of silicone put on, and that's what we're going to attempt to do. So we'll have a go at that in a minute. Okay, need to get your softener outside, connect it up with the water. For now you can just temporarily stand it in its box and connect up a water hose connection to it, and I've just connected up this old connection that I've had lying around. It's got a tap there so I can turn this on and off, but if you've got some form of connection that you can isolate on there, it could be another piece of hose pipe with the tool on the end like this, like the sprayer on the end, that you can, as long as you can switch it on and off, it's fine. You don't need to connect up to the drain, just use a piece of pipe going over the edge, so the drain, you can see the drain's connected there. And what we're going to need to do now is we're going to need to just check to make sure this brine float, that draws the brine in, and obviously it refills the tank in the backwash mode. So we're just gonna connect it up. So we connect it up here, gently run some water through this head, the one that we've completed to rebuild, and run the water through it, and that will be enough to just get the water in the system. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this, we're going to just maneuver this in a minute, and just make sure that we've got the sequencing worked out. So on the front side of here, if you go from between these two cogs here, between these two positions here, not cogs, but between these two positions, you've got the brine and backwash for the one tank, and from this position you got it the other tank. This one is for the primary tank, and this one is for the secondary tank, which is this one. But if you need to put it in backwash mode. So if you put your screwdriver in the top of there, push it down until it goes onto the backwash position. Either tank, it doesn't really make any difference. And what you'll see is you'll see water running out of here a little bit out of this drain, and you'll see this float will be gradually filling up the level to the required level. Now what you can do, if you wanted to, you could just let that run, and what you're looking for now is you're looking for the water level to go down on brine rinse, so that so it's taking brine, and you're looking for the water to refill back up. Obviously you're also looking for this float to make sure the water doesn't rise to a ridiculous level. So if you let this run, you're going to use some water, but you'll find that when it goes through its cycles, the backwash and the brine rinse cycles, and it goes in between these two small positions there, you'll find then that your softener is in the operational mode, and the rinse, the water discharging from the drain should stop, and everything should go quiet, and your appliance is then ready to use. So really the thing to check for here is to make sure that the water level rises to about a centimetre above your block salt. I've just put some tablet salt in here just to get the system working. for now, but I know roughly that this level is correct when you put the platform for the salt blocks on. So that is correct. So make sure that your level is right. If the level isn't right, take the float apart, have a look at the float, make sure that it's set properly. If it's not sealing properly and it's raising above, it's not cutting off, then obviously you need to be looking at replacing the float. But check that, and that's really all there is to it. When this is cycled all the way around, look at the black dot on the top of here. It shows you in your manual how to do that, which is on some of those PDF files I sent. It gives you detailed instructions of how to go through all this sequencing. Run this water through here and take a little bit of it and check the hardness level. And I've actually done this with this one, the one that we've rebuilt since we rebuilt it in the video, and it is working fine. So it goes through, it's all in its sequence. So you know, this was a softener that I inherited, and it wasn't really working that well. So the rebuild did, so taking it apart and cleaning it and putting it back together is made it good again. So check your water, check the consistency of the water, and over a period of time, it will take a little while for it to go into your hot water system. You know, that's you know, it takes about a week or so for it. If you've got a hot water cylinder, then it take a sort of a week or so to get into the header tanks and everything like that. So but all you're really looking for in this little picture here is to just go through the system and let it run. Once you've done that, then you know that your softener is fine. So that's it really. So just rig it up on a test like this, something of this description, and go through the sequence. Make sure it goes through all the sequences. You can look at these cogs move as it's in its different modes, and you should be fine. That little bit of salt there was enough to you know, mix with the water, was enough to take in and actually clean the water out of the hardened water out and produce soft water. So the test did on this one show soft water, which turns blue in the test tube straight away. So that's it really. There's not much else you can have a look at. The one thing I will mention, obviously one of the things that you can't be sure about with any softener that you get, and if you've owned it for a while, you can't really check the resin yourself. It's not really a DIY job. If the resin has lost its properties, which very, very rarely happens, to be perfectly honest with you, resin normally lasts a lifetime in these, you know, 30 years, you know, easily. If the resin is a problem with the resin, then it's likely that you're going to need to take that to a dealer and get those people to sort it out. But generally speaking, the main problems that you get with these softeners, you know, are what we've already been through already. If it isn't the float, which operates up and down, obviously you just check the levels on that, make sure that the float's rising and shutting off either end. And if it isn't that, then it's surely going to be one of those other things inside this unit. But we've looked at those, and this particular softener, as I just explained, it works perfectly well. And all the things I thought was looking good inside the softener were correct. So that's really it on this, and I hope that it's going to be working out for you. And I hope your softener, or that if you buy one of these softeners second-hand, I hope you can use this to get it working and to make sure you've got you know, a fully functional softener and you can service it yourself in the future. So good luck.